So, you're here because you want to know if these 3 Space Engineers DLC packs are worth it. The short answer? Yes. The long answer? Yes! Here's the TLDR for those who just want the info. Feel free to pause and give it a scan. For the rest of you who are here to either dig a little deeper or just want to hang out, may Clang be forever merciful. So, about a year ago, I did this video about the best Space Engineers DLC packs. If you haven't seen that yet, don't watch it, it's crap. Since then, Keen have released 3 new DLC packs, Signal, Contact, and Fieldwork, each alongside their own respective free update. Say what you want about the monetization strategy, I think they do alright by us, generally. They certainly aren't like EA or Nintendo, overpriced and under-delivered. Allegedly, Your Honor. Anywho, today I will be ranking these 3 packs based on quality, quantity, and value. As always, your comments, thoughts, and personal rankings are more than welcome. So, enough of all this yakking, let's get cracking. Okay, so first up, the Signal pack. What is included here? So first off, we have the truss block set, which is 7 large grid and 2 small grid trusses. We have a corridor set, which contains 8 large variants. Narrow corridor and narrow corridor stowage, which is 2 large blocks. We also have a narrow door to go along with those corridors. Inset walls. Decorative consoles. Bay windows. And a couple of new jukebox music tracks. Okay, so what blocks stand out from this pack? So for me, the inset wall blocks and floored passageways are an absolute game changer, especially for internal ship design, and they're just beautifully done. The art team, as always, fantastic job. The console blocks as well, they're equally nice. My only beef with them is that they're purely decorative. It would have been nice to have them as fully functional, like working ship controls. There's probably already a mod for that, so I mean, I can't complain. The bay windows and the truss blocks are just fantastic. They add a bit more elegance to any build, if you can find a place to stick them on there. I feel like Space Engineers has needed this, the stuff that's in this pack for quite a long time. And if you have this pack and still only manage to make bricks, you're probably trying to make a brick. The critiques I would make here are, they do give a solid visual boost, plenty of useful blocks that you'll use on pretty much every single build, but it's a slightly smaller pack than you would expect. I think most of the new stuff for this was actually in the free update rather than the DLC, like the broadcast controller and the action relay. So even though the other DLCs have more content, I think this one's still worth a buy for the quality of your ship and your base interior design alone. Proper use of the bay windows and the truss blocks externally mean that you'd have to try pretty hard to make a bad looking ship. I'd say this one comes out at a solid A tier. It's got quality content. You know, there's not so much of it, but the stuff that's in the pack is really good. Definitely worth a buy. It's useful to anyone who loves building and design work, especially interior design. Okay, next up we have the content pack. So what's included in there? We have the Gatling and rocket turret variants. They're very nice. Square pistons. So I can see a bit of a square theme going on with this. The parabolic antenna, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love this block. Small gate blocks. We have a tall and a wide variant of those. The modular bridge set. Floodlights. Kitchen pieces, small grid. Modular cargo container, also small grid. The large grid captain's desk. First aid cabinet for small grid. A small grid bunk. And a small grid media player. If you also own the Signal pack already, you get some additional truss blocks and some additional bay windows. The floodlights here are what really did this for me. I didn't realize how much I wanted these until I actually saw them. They truly are magnificent. The modular cargo container for small grid as well made me go back and redesign a whole lot of my older ships, especially my miners. It takes up a lot of space, but visually it just hits the mark. It's so beautifully designed, and it changes the personality of your ship, the way you build things, I think. A big focus of this pack was on the Prototech blocks, which were part of the free update. I think everyone would agree that the block that shines the most here is the inset connector, which wasn't even part of the DLC. It was part of the free update. I think everyone here would agree the inset connector is the absolute best block ever added to the game in the world. So my critiques for this pack, there's quite a lot of stuff included in the pack, but very little of it really wows me. The floodlights and modular cargo, awesome, like I've said. The bridge pieces help with your ship's interior spaces, which can be like tricky to do otherwise. If you're into making larger small grid ships, like those that have interiors and stuff, there are some really solid new blocks for you to like use, like the kitchen stuff. I personally could live without this pack, because I don't tend to get a lot of use out of the blocks that it offers, other than the modular cargo. I'd say modular cargo and the floodlights are really nice, but if they weren't there, I don't think I would really notice. The art team, as always, have done an incredible job with these blocks, and that in all of this, like the most recent DLC, that can never be understated. There's a lot of new things in this pack to work with, and it does really expand on, especially on small grid interiors. That said, the pack as a whole lacks a certain oomph that some of the others just have right out the gate, you know? I'm going to put this one in B tier, I think. I can see the argument for it making it into like the low A tier, but for me personally, I just don't get enough use out of what it brings to the table. And there are other packs available that add in both quality and quantity compared to this one. Still a solid purchase in the right circumstance, but it's not hitting the mark for me. Okay, last up we have the Fieldwork pack. So what's included here? We have lab desks, the lab experiment blocks, the lab vat, the lab freezer, the lab sliding doors, the lab O2H2 generators, the lab small H2 tank, and the lab small O2 tank. We also have the lab small grid regular sized H2 tank, which is very nice. Round passageway sets, pipe blocks, decorative floor blocks, cargo access terminal, an exhaust cap, and if you already own the contact pack, you would also get an additional set of bridge blocks. Okay, so the standout blocks for this pack, the lab theme blocks, they're just gorgeous. They're beautifully designed. My favourite being the lab vat, which is a fantastic variant of the cryopod, and also comes with different conveyor ports on it, which is useful. The round passageways are really nice as well, but sometimes they can be a bit annoying to place the right way around. Maybe that's just me. The lab doors are absolutely gorgeous, but they can be a pain to walk through. I think the clipping on that could be a little bit better. The MVP for this one, though, in my opinion, it's got to be the pipe blocks, right? Sure, it would be nice if they were functional. And actually, there is a mod for that already. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. But even non-functional, they add so much immersion and depth to a build that, for me, the pipe blocks alone make this pack worth the price. Critiques, I think the round passageways could have been designed to be usable in any orientation, or at least make it obvious when placing where the floor is meant to be, especially with the doorway and the conversion piece. The pipes just being decorative is a bit of a missed opportunity, I think. Even if they could only be used to pass gases rather than items, I think that would be amazing. The cargo access terminal also is incredible. I hate seeing like unusable yellow conveyor ports just all around the ship. So having a piece that fits in place of a conveyor junction or like snaps onto a junction with like a half block, that gives a lot of added design choice as well as increases the immersion a bit. I feel like the yellow conveyor ports just being on display, I don't like that. This pack, in my opinion, this is one of the best DLCs to date. The theme is on point, and all of the blocks are they work beautifully well together, giving, actually, I think even more of a sci-fi feel than the Sparks of the Future pack, which was the sci-fi themed pack. The exhaust cap does deserve some appreciation as well here. Making it much easier to add in visual effects to your builds in a smaller area. You know, if you cover them with like a vent and stuff as well, you can create some stunning interior spaces with like sparks and flames and smoke coming out. It just makes it easier than the other one, I think. Combine that with the mod that makes the pipes functional, and this pack will massively improve your ship or base building, bringing every detail of your build to life. Definitely an S tier pack. A must buy if ever there was one. Okay, so here is the full tier list as it currently stands. I think based on some of the comments and suggestions in the previous video, I will probably be revisiting some of the older DLCs, and especially given the new content, I think that sets the bar a little bit higher. So I will be revisiting the old video and redoing this in full at some point in the future. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you subscribe. Let me know, do you agree with the placements of these 3 DLCs on the tier list? If not, how would you rank them? Like, where would you place them in the list? So yeah, I wanted to get this video recorded and uploaded as soon as possible because there is a new one on the horizon. There is the Apex Survival update, which is apparently coming in September, which is sort of next week at this point. And I suspect there will be a DLC to go along with that. So expect another tier list update soon. I'll probably loop that in when I redo everything. Anyway, that is all from me. Oscar says hello. I don't know if you heard that. That's everything from me for today. Thanks for spending some time with me, and I will catch you in the next one. Stay safe, engineers. Bye.